I still remember that electrifying moment as if it were splashed in neon across my very soul, the moment my wife coldly declared, with a tone that cut deeper than any blade, that she was too good for me. In those first 100 heartbeats, every dream I had nurtured, every sacrifice I'd made to build a life together, shattered into 1,000 pieces of disbelief and seething hurt. Her words, spoken at a family dinner in front of our closest relatives, felt like a public verdict on my worth. And now, as I prepare to marry someone who truly values me, I can't help but feel that the pain of that moment has forged in me a strength I never knew existed. For years, I believed our marriage was a partnership built on mutual respect, shared ambitions, and the silent promise that no matter what, we'd rise together. I devoted countless hours to my work, often sacrificing personal pleasures and late nights with friends, all in the name of creating a secure future for us. I built a modest but steadily growing career, pouring every ounce of my energy into proving that I was capable and worthy. Every paycheck, every promotion, every bit of recognition was a brick in the foundation of the life I envisioned for us. I thought that the love we shared was enough to transcend any insecurity or external judgment. Yet that fateful evening changed everything. We were celebrating my wife's recent promotion at a well-appointed family gathering, a night that should have been filled with joy and pride. Instead, amid the clinking of glasses and polite laughter, she casually remarked, "I guess some people are just not meant for success. I was always destined for so much more." Her words, though veiled in a guise of playful teasing, cut like ice. I sat there, stunned and silenced, as my relatives exchanged uneasy glances. The betrayal wasn't just in what she said, it was in the deliberate dismissal of all the sacrifices I had made, the endless hours I had labored in silence to build a future that I believed was ours to share. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming surge of humiliation and heartbreak. My mind raced back to every quiet morning when I had struggled to meet deadlines, every late night spent refining my work projects, every time I had pushed aside my own dreams for the sake of our future. I had given her everything, my time, my energy, my unwavering commitment, and yet, here she was publicly devaluing me as if my achievements were nothing more than trivial efforts. The taste of betrayal was bitter, and I realized that the love I had thought we shared was built on a foundation of unspoken compromises that now seemed so one-sided. After the dinner, I found myself wandering the darkened halls of our home, every familiar corner echoing with memories of better times. I recalled the mornings we once spent planning our future over coffee, the long evenings discussing our hopes and aspirations, and the simple moments of joy that had defined our early years. All those cherished memories now felt like relics of a past that had been irreparably tarnished. In the solitude of that night, with only the sound of my own footsteps and the distant hum of the city to accompany me, a seed of resolve began to sprout in my heart. I realized that if she truly believed I was not good enough for her, then I had nothing left to lose but the chains of her scorn. Determined to reclaim my dignity, I returned to my study and opened an old, worn journal, the repository of my most private thoughts and dreams. I began to write furiously, every word a cathartic release of the pain, the anger, and the betrayal that had defined that evening. I chronicled every sacrifice I had made, every hurdle I had overcome, and every moment when I had silently believed in a future that, in her eyes, was unattainable. With each page, I vowed that I would no longer allow her shallow judgment to dictate my worth. I promised myself that I would rise above the humiliation and build a life that not only proved her wrong but also honored the very essence of who I was. My heart, though heavy with sorrow, began to beat with a fierce determination, to transform every hurtful remark into the fuel for my resurgence. In those early hours of the night, as I scribbled down plans for the future, I also recalled the times when I had questioned my own worth. I remembered the late nights at the office when exhaustion threatened to consume me, the moments when the pressure of unmet expectations almost made me doubt my potential. Now, with her words echoing in my mind, I felt a paradoxical clarity. I saw that the path I had chosen was not defined by the approval of others, but by the relentless pursuit of my own dreams. Every challenge I had faced was a building block for the man I was becoming, a man who would no longer be measured by someone else's shallow standards. That night I made a vow: I would not allow her to dictate my future. I decided that I would work even harder, aim even higher, and ensure that every ounce of effort I poured into my career would be a testament to my worth. I resolved that one day, when she saw me marry someone who truly recognized and celebrated my achievements, her regret would be as palpable as the humiliation I had once felt. My journey was just beginning, a journey to prove that the measure of success is not found in the opinions of others, but in the unwavering belief in oneself. As I closed my journal and stared into the darkness outside, I felt a mix of sorrow, anger, and an electrifying surge of hope. I knew that the road ahead would be long and filled with challenges, but I was ready to face them head-on. I would transform every bitter memory into the stepping stones of my future. In that silent, solitary moment, I took the first courageous step toward reclaiming my destiny, a destiny that was uniquely mine, untouched by the dismissive words of the past. In the days that followed that fateful evening, when her cold dismissal still echoed in every corner of my mind, I found myself plunging into a maelstrom of emotions and decisive action. Every waking hour was colored by a mix of seething anger, bitter sorrow, and a growing resolve to reclaim my life on my own terms. I refused to be defined by her shallow remark, and instead, I made a vow to transform that piercing hurt into a powerful catalyst for change. I started by dissecting every memory, every seemingly insignificant detail of our time together. I replayed countless moments in my head, the casual conversations over breakfast that now felt like rehearsed lines, the subtle, fleeting glances that once seemed innocent but now hinted at a truth I had been too blind to see. I recalled the nights when I stayed up late at the office, fueled by ambition and a quiet determination to build a future for us, and wondered how it all could have been so one-sided. That reflection was both painful and illuminating. It forced me to confront the possibility that perhaps I had invested more of myself than I deserved, and that my dreams, meticulously built over years of sacrifice, were not shared equally. As these thoughts circled relentlessly in my mind, I realized that in order to heal, I needed to take concrete steps. The first and most urgent task was to reassemble the pieces of my financial future. I scheduled long meetings with my financial advisor, poring over every bank statement and transaction. Each line of the report that confirmed our shattered emergency fund stung with betrayal, yet also ignited a fierce determination within me. I discovered that while our joint savings had been drained by her careless pursuit of status, I had always maintained a small personal reserve, money I had set aside as a precaution. That secret fund became my lifeline. It was a reminder that despite everything, I had the means to rebuild. With newfound clarity, I began mapping out a financial recovery plan. I drafted detailed strategies for reallocation of my assets, exploring safer investment options and diversifying my portfolio. Every meeting with financial experts reinforced my conviction. I would create a future that was bulletproof against any further betrayal. In parallel with the financial reconstruction, I threw myself into my career with an intensity that bordered on obsession. The office became my battlefield, a place where every project, every long night, was an act of defiance against the hurtful judgment that had been cast upon me. I took on challenging assignments that pushed me to the limits of my abilities. I began to see each task not as a burden, but as an opportunity to prove my worth, an opportunity to turn every insult into a stepping stone toward success. I volunteered to lead high-stakes projects, rethinking and innovating strategies that had long been stagnant. Every board meeting, every presentation, was an arena in which I displayed not only my technical skill but also the leadership and creative thinking that had been forged in the crucible of my pain. I remember one particularly grueling week when our company was at a crossroads with a major client. The pressure was immense, and I knew that the success of that project would be a turning point, not only for our business but for my personal journey as well. I spent endless nights perfecting our proposal, cross-checking every detail until exhaustion blurred the numbers. On the day of the final pitch, I walked into the boardroom with a steady calm that belied the storm raging within me. I presented our strategy with precision and passion, every statistic and every visual aid a testament to the countless hours I had poured into my work. When the room erupted in enthusiastic applause and the deal was sealed, I felt an overwhelming surge of vindication. That moment was a quiet, powerful declaration. I was capable, I was resilient, and I was rising above the shallow doubts that had once tried to define me. Even as my career flourished, I knew that the path to healing required an honest reckoning with the emotional wounds that her parting words had inflicted. I sought therapy to help me untangle the complex emotions swirling in my heart. In the soft light of a therapist's office, I poured out the details of that night, the public humiliation, the gnawing sense of rejection, and the profound betrayal I felt at being deemed not good enough. My therapist gently guided me through the process of understanding that her words were not a measure of my true worth, but rather a reflection of her own insecurities and misplaced priorities. In our sessions, I learned that forgiving her was not about absolving her actions, but about freeing myself from the shackles of resentment that threatened to hold me back. Slowly, I began to untangle the bitterness and let a fragile hope seep in. A hope that my worth was intrinsic, and that I could build a future defined solely by my own dreams and values. Therapy wasn't a magic cure, it was a long, often painful journey of self-discovery. I spent many evenings in the quiet of my apartment, writing in my journal about the inner battles I fought each day. I detailed the moments when doubt crept in, when the weight of her scorn seemed almost unbearable, and how I gradually learned to view every setback as a stepping stone rather than a failure. I began to realize that the very pain that once threatened to break me was also the fuel that could ignite a new, unyielding resolve. With each entry, I could feel the layers of self-doubt peeling away, replaced by a growing belief in my own resilience and potential. As part of my journey toward self-reclamation, I also reconnected with old friends and built new relationships with people who valued authenticity and strength. I reached out to colleagues, family members, and acquaintances who had always seen beyond the superficial labels. In quiet gatherings over coffee and long walks in the park, we shared our stories of struggle and triumph. These conversations were raw and honest, filled with empathy and mutual support. They reminded me that my journey was not an isolated one, that many had faced similar betrayals and had found the strength to rise above them. The warmth of those friendships filled the void left by the painful words of that night, reinforcing the understanding that my worth was not defined by someone else's shallow judgments but by the genuine connections I had nurtured over the years. Amid the turmoil of rebuilding my emotional and professional life, I also turned to creative outlets as a way to channel the torrent of emotions within me. I began writing again, not just in private but in public through a blog where I shared candid reflections on my journey. My writing was raw and unfiltered, capturing every moment of despair, every flicker of hope, every breakthrough that came from confronting the truth. I wrote about the nights I had spent rereading old messages, the overwhelming sensation of isolation, and the transformative process of turning that pain into a driving force for success. The response was overwhelmingly supportive. Strangers reached out with words of encouragement, sharing their own stories of heartbreak and recovery. Their validation was a powerful reminder that my pain was not in vain and that my journey of transformation resonated far beyond my own personal struggles. Every day I structured my life with a newfound discipline, a careful balance between work, therapy, creative expression, and physical well-being. I started each morning with long runs through the awakening city, letting the rhythm of my footsteps on empty streets clear my mind and renew my spirit. Those early hours became a sacred ritual, a time to set intentions and reaffirm my commitment to forging a future that was wholly mine. Afternoons were dedicated to work, where I immersed myself in projects and seized every opportunity to prove that my success was built on my own merit. Evenings were reserved for reflection, quiet moments with my journal, the soft glow of a lamp, and the gentle hum of my thoughts processing the day's challenges and victories. The structured routine brought with it a profound clarity. I began to map out my long-term goals with precision. I set ambitious targets for my career, determined to climb to heights that would make it impossible for anyone to question my abilities. I also developed a detailed financial strategy to secure my future, building on the small personal reserve I had maintained. I explored new investment opportunities, diversified my portfolio, and even started considering philanthropic ventures that would allow me to give back to those who had supported me through my darkest times. Every plan, every decision, was a testament to my resolve to rebuild my life from the ashes of betrayal. Slowly but surely, the fruits of my labor began to materialize. I received accolades at work, compliments from my superiors, increased responsibilities, and promotions that were a clear affirmation of my relentless dedication. Each professional milestone was a victory not just for my career, but for my sense of self-worth. I began to see that the pain I had endured had, in fact, propelled me toward growth. The more I pushed myself, the more I discovered that success was not a matter of chance, but of unyielding perseverance and the courage to stand up for oneself. As the months progressed, I started to notice the transformation in every aspect of my life. My professional achievements were not isolated incidents. They were the building blocks of a legacy I was constructing, one that would stand as a testament to my strength and determination. I saw my investment portfolio steadily grow, a tangible reminder that I was in control of my financial destiny. I began to envision a future where I would continue to innovate, lead, and create. A future where every achievement would be a living rebuke to the doubts and dismissals of the past. Yet, even as the tangible markers of success grew, I knew that my inner journey was equally important. I continued my therapy sessions, gradually learning to let go of the bitterness that had once threatened to engulf me. I found solace in the simple rituals of daily life, a quiet cup of coffee in the morning, the gentle rustling of leaves during an evening walk, the soft murmur of supportive conversations with friends. These moments of tranquility reminded me that healing was not about erasing the past, but about integrating it into a new narrative of resilience and growth. Every challenge I had faced, every tear shed in the darkness, had contributed to a deeper understanding of who I was and what I was capable of. I began to see that my worth was not diminished by betrayal, it was enhanced by the strength I had mustered to rise above it. In the midst of these personal victories, I also began to strategize for the long term. I attended leadership seminars, networked with industry experts, and even sought mentorship from those who had once faced similar hardships and emerged triumphant. I realized that my journey was not just a personal crusade, it was part of a larger narrative of human resilience. I began to document my progress in a detailed journal, each entry a testament to the evolution of my dreams and the unwavering commitment to reclaim my destiny. I set clear, ambitious goals for the future, a roadmap that would guide me through the next phases of my career and personal life. I envisioned expanding my business ventures, exploring innovative projects, and even giving back to the community that had supported me through my darkest hours. Every new goal I set was a declaration. I would no longer be defined by the pain of betrayal, but by the strength of my response. Each decision was a deliberate act of defiance against the limitations others had tried to impose on me. I began to see that every setback was merely a setup for a comeback, a chance to build something even greater than before. My renewed focus was a living, breathing force that propelled me forward, day after day, through both professional triumphs and personal breakthroughs. In those quiet, reflective moments, I allowed myself to dream again, dreams that were entirely my own and untainted by the judgment of others. I envisioned a future where my success would not only be measured in financial returns or accolades but in the positive impact I could have on the lives of others. I began to explore opportunities for community engagement and philanthropic ventures, driven by a desire to share the lessons of my journey. Every new connection, every inspiring conversation fortified my belief that my path, though marred by betrayal, was also illuminated by endless possibility. As I continued to navigate the turbulent waters of recovery, I also found a renewed sense of purpose and creative expression. I dedicated hours to writing and painting, forms of art that allowed me to translate the pain of the past into the language of hope and determination. I poured my soul into essays that recounted my struggles, my reflections, and the gradual emergence of a resilient, self-affirming identity. Sharing these pieces with a small, supportive audience brought unexpected solace, as I realized that my experiences resonated with others. Their feedback, laden with empathy and encouragement, became another stepping stone in my journey, proof that even in the aftermath of deep betrayal, one could find community, understanding, and the inspiration to rebuild. As the seasons shifted, the transformation within me grew more profound. I began to recognize that the person I was becoming was not defined by the wounds of the past but by the strength with which I faced them. I celebrated every milestone, be it a successful project at work, a financial gain that reinforced my newfound stability, or a heartfelt conversation with a friend that restored my faith in human connection. Each day was a quiet victory, a step further away from the shadows of betrayal and a leap toward a future of my own design. I was crafting a legacy that was as much about my inner growth as it was about external achievements. A legacy built on resilience, hard work, and the unshakable belief that I was destined for greatness. In the final, reflective moments of each day, I would often sit by the window of my apartment, watching the city lights twinkle in the distance, and feel a deep, abiding gratitude for the journey I had undertaken. I knew that the scars of betrayal might never fully disappear, but they no longer held me captive. Instead, they had become the foundation upon which I rebuilt my identity, a foundation of unyielding self-respect and relentless determination. I saw in every setback an opportunity to rise again, and in every tear a seed for future triumphs. The memory of that fateful night, once a source of unspeakable pain, had transformed into a powerful reminder of my capacity to overcome adversity and to thrive despite the odds. Now, as I stand on the threshold of a future that is bright with promise, I carry with me every lesson learned, the bitter taste of humiliation, the long nights of self-doubt, and the triumphant moments of clarity that followed. My journey is far from over, but I have emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to chart my own course. Every step I take is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a quiet, defiant declaration that my destiny is mine to create. I have transformed the pain of betrayal into the fuel for my success, and as I continue to forge ahead, I do so with an unshakable resolve to build a life defined by my own dreams, not by the shallow judgments of those who once sought to diminish me.